Hello everyone, my name is Yar, and today I'm going to be doing a get ready with me while I also chat about some of the things that I've been reading and watching recently. I will fully admit that this is me trying to kill two birds with one stone. I want to record more things, but I also have limited time, so this is where we're at. But I hope it's a good chance for me to also just talk more casually about some of the things that I've been enjoying, and also about things that I don't often talk about on my channel, like movies and TV. Primarily TV in this video. And also just maybe talk about more of my life and what's been going on, and how that's been affecting my reading, because I am in kind of a reading slump right now. So without further ado, let's get started. I kind of haphazardly set up all my makeup. I don't have my main set of makeup because I'm kind of living between my apartment at school and my home. So I'm just making do with whatever I have here. All right, so let's talk about this reading slump. So it started pretty much like around December of last year, of 2025. I was doing so good reading last year. Like, it was the most that I've ever read, probably in my life. And I was reading so consistently too. And that kind of ended around the time that I started my surgery rotation. If you don't know, if you don't follow my channel, I'm also a medical student, and I'm in my third year now, which is basically the busiest time, I would say, to be a medical student, or at least the time where you have the least amount of control over your day because you are in the hospital for most of it. And surgery in general is just very stressful, very time consuming. So I just did not have the mental capacity to be reading or consuming many things at that time. But before that, I was actually I got through 14 volumes of the Attack on Titan manga, which was really cool because that was the first time actually that I've read manga. That's a lie. I read 2 volumes of Full Metal Alchemist when I was 12. But this is the first time that I actually genuinely was consistently reading a manga series. Oh my goodness, I'm so annoyed right now. I didn't realize that my mic cut off, so I don't know where I left off. Anyway, so the entire reason why I started reading the manga is because I watched Attack on Titan, the anime, back in April, and I became obsessed with it to the point where I kept looking up things to read or things to watch if you liked Attack on Titan, because I just wanted that same feeling again. And nothing was really hitting the same. So I just decided to go back to the source, back to the OG, and re-experience the same story. And it was a fun experience. It was fun getting to see all the things that I might have missed the first time that I watched the show, because it's a show that relies a lot on foreshadowing and things that really recontextualize the story once you see it in retrospect. I also was very lost in the beginning of watching the anime in terms of following all the characters and knowing all their stories and why I should care about them. So getting to kind of slow down and meet all the characters again was really nice. But it was also interesting because I don't really know how to review manga, not in the same way that I know how to review books. I feel like with any medium, there is a language, there's a vocabulary that comes with knowing that format of storytelling and knowing how to critique it. And I just feel like I don't have that vocabulary for manga or any sort of serialized storytelling. So it's very hard for me to give a rating for each volume. And I just haven't put anything on Goodreads. But yeah, that was fun, kind of getting to experience another type of storytelling. But basically that was all through November. I was reading 1 manga volume a day every night. And then December hit and I just lost all my momentum and motivation to read. And then also season 2 of Percy Jackson started airing in December, and so I just became hyper fixated on that as my source of entertainment. But something else that kind of contributed to my reading slump was actually me trying to read Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. Now, this was one of my most anticipated books of 2025. I got it the week that it came out. I got the Barnes & Noble special edition with the sprayed edges. But for the life of me, as I was reading this, I could not motivate myself to keep going. But I'm also not a DNFer, I'm a completionist. It's so hard for me to DNF, so I'm no, I have to finish this book. But trying to finish that put me in such a reading slump. But I did. I finished it in January, so pat myself on the back for that. I don't know what it was about it. I like R.F. Kuang's writing, even the things that I may not have the best opinion of after the fact, if I have flaws with it, I still enjoyed the experience reading it. And this one also wasn't that bad of a book or anything. I just felt it was a little long. The entire thesis of the book is basically that grad school is hell, and I feel after a certain point I got the point. It wasn't adding anything else that was profound or really interested me. I did like the love story between Alice and Peter and liked how that was portrayed, but I feel I don't know, the climax of when it finally happened, like it wasn't enough to justify the journey of the book for me. But again, I also was reading this book over the course of like 5 months, so I probably wasn't giving it a fair chance in terms of like experiencing it in the way that it was meant to be experienced, but I tried my best. Something else that I have been watching recently actually is Game of Thrones. When it comes to TV, a lot of the things that I watch just come down to the fact that my brother decides that we are going to be watching that. He just sits in front of the TV and is like, we're watching this, which at first annoyed me, but then the first time that happened, we watched Attack on Titan and I ended up liking that. So I was a little bit more open to it when trying Game of Thrones. And it was something that I was always curious about trying because it was such a huge cultural moment for almost 10 years. But because it was a very big cultural moment, I felt like I already knew all of the points of discourse. Like I was on Twitter, and also the fact that it ends really horribly kind of discouraged me from starting it for a while. But I am glad that I did give it a chance because wow, it is a great show. I'm saying that as if it's not like one of the most highly rated series on television ever written. But genuinely, I was so impressed by the writing, the dialogue, the fact that this show was like almost entirely dialogue. Like I feel like I thought that it was going to be a lot more fantasy than it actually is, but it's much more about the politics, which I guess I should have figured because it's called A Game of Thrones. But even as I go through the series, like now I'm on season 3, I find myself not caring as much about the more fantastical elements in the series, like the dragons or anything with the wildlings. Like bring me back to the Starks and the Lannisters and all of that. It also got me thinking because I think the first season is honestly a little bit boring and it's a little bit hard to follow at first because there's so much dialogue and so much exposition that you have to set up. And I was thinking, I'm like, I wonder if a series like this would succeed today or be able to have as many seasons as it did in our current ecosystem of TV, because I feel like people, if you're not engaged like right away, especially in this era of like short form content, people give up on things very easily. We don't really have a lot of patience for storytelling and waiting for that payoff. So I do wonder if something like that were to be were to be aired today, if it would get the same kind of reception. I think there's still a chance because again, the performances and the writing is so strong that at least for a good portion of people that would hold them over. And then of course, especially when you get to the second season, I thought the second season was much better than the first, even though I liked the first season. But I feel like we took all the storylines and kind of went off running with them. Okay, what else have I been watching? Oh, I watched part 1 of Bridgerton season 4. At this moment, part 2 hasn't come out yet. I have a very interesting relationship with Bridgerton. I mean, I'll always tune in. I enjoy it at a baseline level, at the very least. I enjoyed the first season, I loved the second season, but I loved Queen Charlotte. I still think that's the best thing that the Bridgerton franchise has produced. Season 3 I didn't hate. I think it got a little bit too much hate from general audiences, but I do think it had a lot of wasted potential, specifically with Colin. I did not care about Colin at all, but I enjoyed Penelope's character and I thought she was interesting. But I feel like season 4 has really found its footing again. I feel like it's flowing a lot better, and I'm just invested in the story between Benedict and Sophie. I mean, it is a retelling of Cinderella, so there is that aspect to it that's really enjoyable. But I also love that because Sophie is a maid, it's introducing a lot more class consciousness storylines into the season. Like we're getting a lot more plot lines that have to do with the serving staff, which I think is so interesting and really puts into perspective like how rich the Bridgertons are and everyone else in the town, and who is actually allowing them to live their life of ease. And then the other thing that I just started watching is The Pitt, which again, I'm very late to all these things. It was very hyped up last year, but now season 2 is coming out, so I'm like, let me try to catch up. I've only seen 3 episodes, but again, a very, very well written show. But it is a little bit hard for me to watch it because as a med student, it is a little bit triggering, both in the sense that I can see situations that I have personally experienced as well, but also in the sense that like I feel like I'm studying when I'm watching that, or like it's pressuring me to study. Like whenever they ask a med student a question, I try to answer the question myself, and if I don't know it, it makes me stressed and I'm like, oh, I have to put in more work. So it's not really something that I can like escape with or relax with. But I still do want to consume the story. Also because I want to contribute to the discourse. I feel like there's so many people talking about it and having opinions, and I'm like, I want to be able to share my perspective. I have FOMO, what can I say? I feel like I'm not blended, but I can't really tell. Oh, and of course, I mentioned it earlier, but Percy Jackson's season 2 released in December into January. I am like so obsessed with Percy Jackson that whenever anything comes out, it awakens like a sleeper agent in me, and that's all I can consume for that period of time. And I don't know, man, I just love the show. I think they're doing really interesting things with it as an adaptation. Season 2 especially, because I love a lot of what season 1 did, like overall story-wise, but I do think it sometimes struggled with things like pacing or just having the amount of humor that the books did, though I am rereading The Lightning Thief, and honestly, it's not like every moment is a joke. It's not like a comedy. So when I rewatch the series, I'm like, actually, this is a lot more close to The Lightning Thief than I imagined in terms of its humor. But still, I thought it could lean a little bit more into the goofiness of it all, the theatrics of it all. And I think they did that very well in season 2, specifically the first 2 episodes. The second episode with the chariot scene and everything with Tantalus, I thought was hilarious. I want to make like a whole video about season 2, or maybe some multiple videos about season 2. I have been talking about it on my TikTok if you want to follow me there. I've been doing kind of like mini video essays, but I'm currently in the middle of writing this long video essay about season 1 and a kind of character and thematic analysis of it, and it's taking so long. It's taking much longer than I thought it was going to take, so we'll see whenever that happens. But I just love so much of what they did, specifically with Clarice and Tyson. Like, they turned Clarice from kind of a much more one-dimensional character in the book who kind of exists just as this bully into a really interesting character and gave her a really, really beautiful development. Her relationship with the dead soldiers on the Ironclad, oh my god. Why was I gonna tear up when that French dude looked her in the eye right before Scylla took him? Sorry, spoilers. And then Tyson, oh my goodness. I cannot commend Daniel Deemer's acting enough in this season, but the balance they were able to find with portraying Tyson as young, as innocent and naive, while also not infantilizing him for the sake of comedy was really special and really moving. And oh my goodness, that last episode, that conversation he has with Percy, literally brought me to tears. So sweet. I don't think you understand how excited I am for season 3 and the fact that it is coming out later this year. TV has never been more back. but specifically because I am so happy that we are finally moving towards the books that have not been adapted yet, because we've had 3 adaptations of The Lightning Thief. We had 2 of Sea of Monsters, and I love those books. They do what they need to do, but they are by far not my favorite in the series. I love 3, 4, and 5 so much, and my mental health depends on them being adapted. The fact that we've yet to ever see an adaptation of Nico D'Angelo is kind of crazy. Dang, I like ran out of things to say, but I still have the rest of my makeup to do. I guess what else have I been reading right now? I'm currently in the middle of a lot of books because, like I said, reading slump, so I'm just trying to like throw whatever it is at the wall and hope it sticks. For a nonfiction read, I'm reading One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar and Akkad, which I should finish soon. It's pretty short and it goes by pretty fast, but it's also pretty emotionally dense, so I feel like it's a little bit hard to consume all at once. I'm also reading The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I'm listening to that on audio. That was one of the recommendations I got for if you like Attack on Titan, you'll like this book. I think because they both have these sort of like Titan ginormous beings, unstoppable, that are blocked by a giant wall that is protecting the city. But The Tainted Cup is also more about this murder mystery plotline that's going on, which is interesting, but I am just like struggling to read it all right now. I don't know why. It's due at the library though in like 5 days, so I do have to force myself to get through it. I think I just have the lip and then I should be done. Alrighty, and that's the end of this Get Ready With Me. Thank you so much for watching and sitting here and chatting with me for a while. I kind of like this. I feel like I talk so much easier when I'm doing something than when I'm like hyper focused on what I'm saying, and then I tend to mess up. And I hope it was of some enjoyment to you as well. If you like my videos and you want to see more, please make sure to subscribe and also follow me on my social medias. Let me know what you've been recently watching, what you've been recently reading, anything that has been giving you joy recently. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.